Hey folks, Steve here with a special Axis Empires Ultimate Edition video for you today. This is going to be part 0 of our Great Crusade campaign playthrough, a campaign that is a single mapper. It uses the west part of the Europe map, or the Western map, Western Europe map, geez Louise, and lasts for 18 turns, which is a pretty long number, all things considered, and is actually one where we can look at different card options to play, which to me seems like a nice step up from the training scenarios without diving too deep into a full campaign. We can still kind of keep it um, constrained a bit in terms of what's on the map and focus on executing all the things that we've learned in the training scenarios and start to get a little bit more into the card play or card decisions, maybe I should say. So, this scenario starts in May, June 1943 and will run until VE Day, which the VE Day marker starts on the May June turn of 1945. There are a few reinforcements already on the turn track, and there's also a increased U.S. commitment level that will happen in 1944. And then there's a special mechanic which we'll cover when we get to it. It's basically just to represent the fact that while we're fighting on the Western map, the Soviets are fighting on the Eastern map, off camera, so to speak. And they're making their own advancements and will eventually, in 1945, place some markers to kind of represent that. But for our purposes as the Western Allies, we want to try to get into and take over as much of Germany as possible before that occurs. So we got a little bit of a timer on us. Now, the VP marker is on the 2 VP track due to the gains of the Axis up until this point. Germany and Italy are the Axis powers, as one would expect. So we have, for the first time, Italian units on the map in our play coverage here. The Western countries include Great Britain, United States, and Vichy. So this is something I'm going to have to go back and look at a bit more and understand. It's not relevant for the campaign itself, but like France is an activated country for the Allies. You can even see in Casablanca, Oran, and in Algiers, we have French colonial units. So we have, like, there are French units. They're just of a particular kind, and um, they're just in North Africa. So you can kind of see this, the collapsing of Vichy has been occurring or is occurring. And so Germany has, I guess, I think Germany controls all of France. So um, the German Axis placement were like in any hexes in Belgium, Holland, Denmark, Norway, and or France, including Corsica. And so we could, what I think the narrative here would have been, and I'm thinking about this in World in Flames terms, Germany collapsed Vichy, or maybe in Axis Empires terms, Germany declared war on Vichy or something and took the rest of southern France, which causes Vichy to be in the Western Allied camp. Not sure how that would go in a campaign game. I assume we'd find out if we were playing one. But for now, like, Vichy is good, and I believe that means that in France, it behooves me to make sure that every city in France is garrisoned with a German step, and I have done that. This is part 0 because I want to talk about just what the situation is, and then I'm going to need to solicit feedback from the Axis Empires experts who have been watching my coverage of this game and let me know what poor choices I am making in the game. So the setup is generally straightforward, but you are given some latitude in where you place things. So, for instance, there's a set of units that can be in any hexes in Italy, including Sardinia and Sicily, um, which is a fair amount of territory to consider and to put units in. So I had to kind of think through, um, like, what does that look like? What are we going to do with that? And then the same thing with the sort of conquered territory of Western Europe and Scandinavia. I have to place units, and I need to put them kind of where I want them, but that means I have to focus in certain areas and in other areas do not. And then even the allies actually get a little bit of this. So places like Malta have default setups. Algiers does, even some stuff just barely off camera here in Tripoli. But right around Tunis, you have a number of British and American units that you can set up either in Tunis or adjacent to Tunis. And I've stacked up Tunis with 6 steps, but I don't know, like I don't really know if I should do it that way. I really I have no idea um, if that's a good setup. So I'm going to be looking for some advice there. We do have a special player aid sheet to hold our turn track. It's basically the same turn track. It's just got some additional numbers on the turn track to help with the strategic value calculation for the axis because they do want to count what's going on the east front. So that is there to help us. And then some conditional event box stuff for us to consider using when the time is right. Not really needed. I didn't feel like I really had to use that sheet, but I decided to go ahead and use it and show it up there. It has its uses. I could have just set it next to the map and had been fine, but that's all good. And yeah, so there's all sorts of things in the works here now. What do you think about this? The cards. So the cards for each faction, we do have a pending card that is directed by the scenario, and then we're actually going to have a deck of cards remaining to pick from for future seasons. So the allies are going to start with Operation Husky, as is appropriate here, giving us a blitz marker, allowing us to get some additional British and U.S. reinforcement steps. And then if a supplied U.S. ground unit occupies a city in Germany, Belgium, Holland, or any minor country listed on the Balkan Central or Western Area tables, receive those things. I would imagine that'll work great when we have captured some place in Italy, probably, maybe. We'll have to figure that out. So anyway, we have Operation Husky, going to be getting into Sicily. Makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? For the Germans, we have Operation Citadel, which I may need to double check. Maybe the Germans get all of this stuff. But you can see remove Italy all units. What? I'm confused. What does that mean? Remove Italy all units. What does that mean? What are you talking about? I don't understand. It couldn't possibly mean we remove all Italian units from the map. Right? That couldn't possibly be what that means. Because I wouldn't want to play it. What's the point of setting up the Italian units if I'm just going to remove them? So I'm going to have to look at that. I don't. That can't be what that means. I don't know. You guys tell me. Remove Italy, all units. I don't understand. So somebody help me understand that. But those are going to be the cards that we're going to have, and then we're going to, as soon as we start play, we're going to have to pick a pending card. The card that will be played in the fall. Now, I looked at the playbook to see what was the historical choice. Well, the Germans historically picked after Operation Citadel Total War Production. So getting some additional steps, basically, which makes a lot of sense. I mean, we've got to do that so that we can try to get some stuff on the board. At some point, we may need to play material shortages to get a bunch of other good units on the board, and there's still a small handful of other cards that can get us some stuff, but these aren't big hands of cards left. So That's going to be tricky. The Allies, just bouncing back to them for a second, have a bigger deck. They have a lot more flexibility of available cards still left. Historically, they did Operation Avalanche, which you can see is related to Allied landings in southern Italy. So getting more steps. And we can apply Operation Avalanche, which I suspect is going to have to do with causing Italy to collapse. I'm guessing it's going to be something like that without even looking. I didn't even look. So we'll probably want to play that. I'm sure we'll want to play that. So, all that to be said, we've got to decide then our setup, right? If we know those are the cards on the board, what can we do in light of that? So, let's first talk about the allied stuff. So this I'm literally asking for advice, guys. So you let me know what sounds maybe too silly to set up here. We've got a big old 3-step armor mech unit. We've got a 3-step HQ. That is in Tunis itself. We've got a 1-step armor I have over here, a 2-step British unit, and some Americans over here. What's the good thing? I realize if I ship, I can only ship units over and transport with single steps. So maybe it's better for me to be like this. Or something. I don't know. Or I break down the units before I ship them. And just have everybody hanging out here in this format and just start breaking stuff down. I don't know. I guess I need to do a better job thinking through how this would work, because I guess I would want to ship these guys over once they've shipped out. I would be breaking these units down to then move into the port on the operational phase and then be looking to ship them from there. So maybe what I should be doing is having all of our single step units in here, break this down into 2 infantry, start breaking these guys down and start feeding them over, and then we can be throwing our HQ support maybe over the water. I'm not sure if we can do that. So I don't know. Is that a good setup, guys? You tell me. We also have Malta here, and we've got just a scant couple of steps here. Probably want to keep this guy in defending. Maybe we could send this guy, in somewhere, right? It's all feasible, all doable, all possible. We could do those things. So let me know about that. Really quick, just to show what's in Britain before we talk about Germany. I just have, there's an HQ in London that has to be set up, and then these guys, 2 armor and this Canadian infantry, can be set up anywhere. So I'm just putting them in ports. Not sure there's much else to do with them, but if there is, let me know. For Germany, so here's the deal. I need to keep. Well, first of all, let's talk about Norway. I've got to keep a step here and here, keeping Denmark, Norway down. So have to do that. Got to keep something in Amsterdam and Brussels to keep Belgium, Holland down. I gave an additional step to Brussels because I don't want to lose Antwerp out of the gate. So trying to put strength there. Everywhere else in France, that's either a port or a city, I'm trying to put a step. So Bordeaux, Toulouse, Marseille, Lyon, Nantes, Brest, and then I've got, we have these forts that are having to be put there along with this 2-step infantry in Cherbourg. Yeah. Same thing here at Le Havre with a fortress and that 2-stepper. A single step in Paris just to hold it. And then we've got 2 infantry in Calais. Just trying to protect, the way I'm thinking this through is protect the ports with something. And then for these ports, these channel ports that could be under direct threat, try to put something additional in there. I'd want to maybe even double up Amsterdam, but um, I have to pick some place to not be as strong. So that's where I'm stuck for the moment for setup even. And this is the extent of setup that we're following here. Um, okay, what else? Well, for Italy, we should talk about Italy. This is probably pretty important. Um, there's one German corps in the Italian setup, or like the setup for the area of Italy, and I decided to have that protect Genoa, which is a port on the Western Med. There are ports here in the Adriatic, but Adriatic is a dangerous port to the Allies. So if I'm going to prioritize, I want to prioritize against the areas I think are going to be the most direct target. So I've put an Italian step in Cagliari in Sardinia because that's a port and provides air basing. You go 1, 2, 3. That's three away from Rome, so we got to be careful of that. I know that Sardinia was an air base in World War II, so I got to protect that. I'm leaving northern Italy kind of empty, but I don't feel like I have very many options yet. Maybe I'll eventually move some Germans in there. I put a two-step Italian in Rome. I put two steps in Naples because it's a port city near Rome. I've put a step in Taranto because it is a key port that does sit on the central Med, so the Allies could hit it from a not the Adriatic. They could hit it from here. I put two steps in the crossing here from Sicily to Italy, just because if the Allies take Sicily, they're going to want to cross into the boot, and I need something to protect there. And then lastly, we do have German paratroopers. They have to set up in Palermo, but then I put another step here in Syracuse to just have something else on the Sicilian island. It definitely feels like it's like I'm defending in many areas with like one step or two steps. They're not terribly strong. How much strength can I even throw in to defend? Not much. But I think I've covered like the most vulnerable areas that, if easily taken, could become a major disaster. The question would be, would it be better to move one of these steps to Taranto or one of these steps to Sardinia? I really don't know. I'm not sure what makes the most sense here. The Italians do get a war economy replacement, so we could try to fit something else in here. Um, and if I look to see, like, I guess I could simply put that. Maybe that's what I should do. I should put one over here, because when the option card comes up, the Italian should be able to put a step there, unless they're in Naples, a city, unless this does something I don't understand. Remove all units. Help, guys. I don't know what that means. Like, don't tell me to set it up if I'm immediately going to take everything else off, right? So that can't be what that means. I'll have to. I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to look, guys. I don't understand that. That is a very confusing statement to see. I should also point out that the Allies have a minor production marker, which will likely be production for France, and there's an Allied luck marker, which we've not seen yet, a luck marker, but we'll execute it. So very quickly here, right? We're gonna see a lot of activities start to spool up. It's an exciting scenario because this is a part of the war that in World in Flames I don't get to see very often. So I'm at least glad to be able to, like, hey, here's a whole little scenario that we can enjoy. That's going to be kicking Italy's butt, and eventually D-Day and all that other good fun stuff. We just got to get there, and we'll get there at some point here soon. One last thing, just to show the comparable strength of the forces at play here. Here's the uh, player aids for force pools. So you can see there's still quite a number of Germans up here that we would be wanting to leverage, including Fortress Europa counters that we can use to help our defense. a decent number of support markers. But the Allies have, well, the Allies have a lot of British force pool units. For the Americans, we're going to have to add more from future card play. Um, oh no, never mind. I'm very silly. There's all kinds. I'm putting them in the wrong place because I'm a silly person. Um, Forgive me. The French have some stuff, and then we're going to have a fair number of Americans. Yes, sorry, I'm confused myself a little bit there. A fair number of Americans to still enter the conflict. So, um, French reinforcements when we take back parts of France, plenty of British, plenty of Americans able to come in. Not very many multi-step American units are on the board at this point. There's like this guy in the first pool will get more, but the support markers I think is where, taken all together, the Allies are going to overwhelm the Axis as you would expect. So, um, yeah, boy, all all kinds of craziness here, guys. So, yes, if you are watching this video and you're going, Steve, consider this. I would greatly appreciate that. Again, I need to, please, somebody tell me what the heck remove Italy all units means. Please, please. Um, is I don't know. I don't get it. If I just check, maybe the rulebook will tell me right now. If I look at the card. Come on, tell me, tell me, tell me. Force pool. All counters listed are placed in the force pool. Delay box, yeah. Um, I truly do not understand. Okay, well, I will end this video here, guys. Again, part 0. This is just the preamble. Get us ready. Before I start playing, however, I will need that feedback on the setup. I'm going to need help with the Operation Citadel, meaning of the remove Italian units. What's that mean? I don't get it. Um, and we'll go from there. Okay. So hey, thanks for checking in, watching this video. Let me know what you think. We'll see you in part 1, where we will kick things off proper with the Axis player turn with Operation Citadel and everything that will come after. So thanks for watching. Take care. Keep gaming. See you in the next one. Okay, just kidding. Not the end of the video. As always, I'm in the middle of uploading this video to YouTube when I'm like, man, that just can't be it. And so I'm doing a little more research. And in fact, there are two. There are two Operation Citadel cards. And somehow I missed the 35A in the stack of cards. And I know, one of you was already putting a comment. You probably already did, Max. I know you did. You already put a comment that said there's a different card. I found it. I did. After I started uploading the video. So evidently there's a 35E, which I guess if we were playing, this seems to be helpful to indicate I should have realized that. Fire in the East scenario, you play this, and when you do, it removes all maybe the Italian units from the East Front scenario that you're playing. But and then also telling you that, like, it's not the full blitz activity. Now the setup scenario information does say card 35W, which would seem to imply west and not east, right? But there's just this one. So that makes me wonder, like, is there another? I didn't remember seeing one. I better look though. There's a 35B, which is a totally different card. Oh my gosh, there is a 35W. My goodness, Steve. you gotta look a little harder, Steve. um, and case in point, as I'm looking now, I see that all of these cards that I had grabbed and said, "Oh, there's a whole deck to play." Well, there's W versions of these cards, and the setup information actually references them. I'm so silly, guys. I just didn't look hard enough. I didn't look hard enough. I thought maybe the W's. This is my fault, and I'll tell you why I made this mistake. Up until now, when I looked at the deck of cards for either side, it was always like, well, it's an A or a B, or just the number. And if it was anything else, it's probably parts of Dice of Decision. So stick those cards in the back and don't look at them. Here I am getting this wrong, and I'm going to have to double check the allies as well now that I'm looking. Okay, interestingly, the allies do not have a W for their cards. So their cards are the real cards. And as it happens, everything here, boy, I'm going to have to watch out for that in the future. Yikes. Okay. These E versus whatever variants are the important thing. When I'm picking these cards, I'm doing this, right? I'm grabbing this big stack of Axis cards, and I'm like going like this through them. So when I see a 35, I think I'm good to go. But you can see here are the E's, and then here's a whole bunch of W's, and this is what I was getting wrong. So I figured it out, guys. I did it. I figured it out. 35W Operation Citadel. The proper version of the card for this scenario is ready to be played. And I'm going to fix my stack of German cards for their hand of cards. And this is another one of those things I'm just going to say really quickly it is really kind of decision to do this, or the game designers to do this, where like this might be confusing to me because I overlooked the situation. That's on me. But the fact that they balance the scenario by making additional versions of cards to where you only get the west front effect of Operation Citadel, to calibrate things is awfully nice of them. So rather than laying on extra rules like saying, okay, but don't do this when you play this card, there's actually just a specific version of the card. That's cool. I like that. That's nice. Thank you, guys. I near I screwed things up. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm gonna fix it. So all right. See you in the next one, guys. So then, really, just to go back for a second, all that matters, help me with the setup. Is the setup good, guys? That's what I want to know. You let me know, and we'll see you in part one. See you later.